this raising of the people of desires and the people of misguidance, raising them and praising them and putting them up. Zakir Naik is the same individual, ya ikhwan, who recently said, when he was asked about suicide bombings, so much so that they found his answer so profound that his followers put his talk upon YouTube. And in this talk he says, when he's asked about suicide bombings, he said that basically there are a group of scholars who disallow it. He said, we have Albani and Bin Baz and Ibn Uthaymeen, and these are scholars that disallow suicide bombings and they say it's haram. He said, however, there is another group of good scholars also that allow suicide bombings, the likes of Safar al-Hawali and Salman Al Awda. How dare you mention those names in the same breath as Ibn Baz, Ibn Uthaymeen and Al-Albani? Safar al-Hawali, the one about whom Sheikh Al-Albani said, the Khawarij al-Asriya or Kharijiyya al-Asriya, that they are the individuals who are the Khawarij of this era. And he regards them to be scholars. They are the scholars, yes, the scholars of Ali Tamimi. They are the scholars of these types of individuals. They are the scholars of the Khawarij. And they are the scholars of the politicians. And they are the scholars of the Sururiyya and Qutubiyya. But they are not the scholars of Salafiyya. Look at the statement of Bin Baz with regard to Safar al-Hawali and Salman Al Awda. What did Sheikh Bin Baz say? That either they return back to the truth. This is when Sheikh Bin Baz was alive. Either they leave off and they make tawbah and they leave off that which they were upon, or they must be prevented. They must be prevented from giving khutb and durus and muhadarat, and their tapes should not be distributed, and their rasail should not be allowed to be distributed in our society because of the corruption that they cause. This is Sheikh Abdul Aziz bin Baz. Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, when he was asked about the tapes of Safar al-Hawali and Salman Al Awda, he said, these tapes, we are not in need of the tapes of those people who have with them the ideology of the ideology or the fikr of Thawri, or the thinking which is revolutionary thinking. We have no need of them. He said, alhamdulillah, you have ulama whose tapes you can listen to. We don't need of the tapes of Safar and Salman, Ibn Uthaymeen. And look what this individual says. And if that wasn't bad enough, ya ikhwan, look at his aqeedah. He said that I studied the scriptures of the Hindus. This is Zakir Naik. I studied the scriptures of the Hindus. What does Abu Usama say about him? Unparalleled, next to none. No one like him, next to none. And an individual is unparalleled in his dawah, Zakir Naik. Impressed that much by him. What does he have for the rest of the Salafis? Haddadis, people of bid'ah. I make jihad against them. When I speak against them, this is jihad against them. Against who? Against the Salafis. But when Zakir Naik, next to none in his da'wah, unparalleled in his da'wah. What does he say, Zakir Naik, about the Hindu scriptures? He said, I read the Hindu scriptures, and I studied Brahma, and I studied Vishnu, and I studied Shiva. These are three of the gods of the Hindus. He said, after studying them, I've realized that all of them are, in their eyes of the Hindus, they are creators. That Brahma is the name for the creator. Shiva is a name for the creator. Vishnu is a name for the creator. So therefore, if a Muslim was to say, Ya Brahma, and call upon Brahma, or call upon Vishnu, and call upon Shiva, then if a Muslim was to do that, then he has called upon Allah. This is Zakir Naik. The same Zakir Naik who said that if Oussama Ben Laden is terrorizing the Americans, then he is terrorizing the terrorists. If Oussama bin Laden is terrorizing the Americans, then he is terrorizing the terrorists. So every Muslim must be a terrorist. And I am with him. With who? Oussama bin Laden. So when I mentioned this to one of the followers of Zakir Naik, he said, no, this must be out of context. And I said, no, it's not out of context. This is what he said. He said, no, because if it was true, the British would never allow him to come to Britain. That's his hujjah. I said, His video is present. This is what he said on his tape, on his video, in his audio. This is what he said about Bin Laden. He said, no, if it was true, then the British would never give him a visa to come to London. Ya Ikhwan, this Muhammad al-Mas'ari lives in London. The one who says that the beheadings that are taking place in Iraq, he puts them on his website, he lives in London. Abu Hamza al-Masri, the one with the hook on his hand, he's doing 7 years now in England in prison. This individual who sent terrorists over to Yemen to bomb Yemen. He himself, one of his own son spent 6 years in prison in Yemen for trying to bomb a hotel in Yemen. They let him in with political asylum, living in London, claiming the benefits from the society, DSS, what we call the social security. What about others? Abdullah Faisal, or Faisal Abdullah, this Jamaican, who was put in prison for 8 years in Britain and then deported back to Jamaica. So I said, that is not a hujjah. Whether the British allow you or don't allow you isn't a hujjah for anything. They've allowed some of the most akhbathun nas into their country. Some of the worst and most despicable of individuals to take refuge. I said, even if Oussama Ben Laden was to land tomorrow, they would have to give him, under human rights legislation, they would have to give him political asylum and then try him after that. Because that is the way that they work. So this is Zakir Naik. What does he say? He says that he is next to none. And he is unparalleled. This issue, you would never find this from the words of the Salaf. What does he say on the same khutbah? He said that, and likewise we have now in London, khutbah, he's supposed to be giving a khutbah. What kind of khutbah? He's supposed to be guiding the people to the sunnah, you're guiding them to the heads of innovation and deviation and callers to misguidance. What does he say? He mentions Yusuf al-Qaradawi. He said Yusuf al-Qaradawi tried to come to London the other day, but they prevented him the visa. Wallahi, the khutbah is not, wallahi ya ikhwan, the khutbah is not for discussion of immigration and customs and excise. The khutbah is to guide the people to the sunnah. So now he starts discussing Yusuf al-Qaradawi. He said Yusuf al-Qaradawi, who's a scholar, an alim of the deen. He said, okay, he differs in some of the affairs with regard to the way of the Salaf. But he's an alim of, now they prevented his visa from coming into the United Kingdom. But he's an alim and a scholar. This, ya ikhwan, you don't find from the words of the Salaf. You ever find from the Salaf when they refute a person of innovation that they never used to mention the good points. This innovation is from the innovations of the likes of Safar al-Hawali, Salman Al Awda, and the company of the Sururiyya and Qutubiyya, the followers of Sayyid Qutb. That they say that if you're going to mention the bad points about a person of innovation, then we must also mention their good points. So now he's entering into this mawazana with Zakir Naik, and likewise with Yusuf al-Qaradawi.